this is vanilla, and I have chia pudding in this, and a little bit of strawberry. So
fuel for
Looks
movement.
delicious.
Since we have to move, we need fuel for movement. So welcome to Fit Friday.
That's good.
We have been coming to you from gyms. We have been coming to you from places where people acknowledge fitness is a big topic. But today we're at Everbowl in Baton Rouge. Everbowl is yummy. It's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, and it's really, really healthy. And so we're very grateful to get to be here today because food is fuel for our bodies, or it's not.
gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it. Gotta have the good stuff. This is good, Mama. I'm telling you, this is really delicious.
So today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, which has everything in the world to do with your health, because we're talking about purpose. Because if you feel like your life matters, then you realize how important your body and your brain and everything else matters along with it. And then you take better care of it.
You do.
This is from the Mayo Clinic. People have a sense of purpose, tend to take better care of themselves through exercise, healthy eating, and addressing healthy issues, because these same studies show that people with purpose live longer, sleep better, and have a more robust immune system, lower stress levels, and better cognitive function. What you think?
I agree. That's how I feel. I mean, I feel, well, I have not always had a true sense of purpose. You know, I've had jobs and I've had life, but in the last 10 years, a little bit about 10 years or so, it's began to evolve into, you know, greater sense of purpose, what I want to do, what I want to be, how I want to be. And yeah, I feel really good about it.
And typically, I was reading a book earlier this week, and it proposes a great question, that if you were to go to a doctor's office and instead of them saying, "What's the matter with you?" they ask the question, "What matters to you?"
Mm-hmm.
How would that change your clients?
How would it change my clients if I asked them what matters to you?
Yeah.
I can imagine that the conversation would be completely different. Yeah.
Because what matters to us is really the driving part of who we are. And if we don't really have something that matters to us, then we just kind of aimlessly go through life.
Yeah. No direction.
No direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you think about what is the matter with you, maybe it's tied to what matters to you. So what matters to you the most?
What matters to me? I think peace matters to me. Peace, integrity, health and fitness matters to me. Yeah. Those are things that are important to me. Mm-hmm.
What about when it comes to a cause, like something that you feel like, if I don't do this today, my life isn't really going to be what I wish it could be?
Helping someone, service.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal every day is to serve in some excellent way. So that can look like being kind to someone in the grocery store who was not very kind to me, mm-hmm. Smiling at someone who's looks like they're having a bad day, or you know, with my clients,
right,
just being the best I can for them. Yeah.
And not only are you asking your clients those questions, they're able to respond with what matters to them. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, if you don't have the energy that you need to live your life, and a lot of people don't.
Yeah. No,
if you don't have the energy you need to do your due, then you're going to not feel as good as you want to about yourself every day. So if we put health and fitness parallel to mental health and fitness, mm-hmm. it has everything to do with feeling like your life matters and that you matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that really gets to the cause you feel alone.
High stress.
Very high stress.
Yep.
She's going to eat her chia seeds.
It's just so good. I'm like,
it is high stress. And you think in terms of the world, and you're like, oh my gosh, when's everything going to go back to normal? When's everything going to be right again? And
Yeah.
we're all a solution to the problems that we're walking through. So when you see things that you think are out of whack, then you're called to help them get back in whack.
Mhm.
Whack. I made that up.
Well, things are a bit whack right now.
Things are whack, and people are very uncomfortable right now. People are stressful.
Worried.
Yeah, and people are afraid. So in the face of that, what does that mean about purpose? I do think you have to ask that question as to what really matters to me.
What am I here for?
Yeah, what am I here for? As a Christian, I believe God created me to be here and to do what I do. I interview people every week to get to the bottom of their stories, to find out why they do what they do, how they came about being able to do what they do.
So what led you to the life coach that you are? How'd you end up here?
It was really as a corporate trainer, and I was young and I was thrown into the corporate world really early. People started asking me, how did I know my purpose? And I had no clue what purpose meant.
Yeah.
I had no clue. But fast forward a few years later, the question bothered me so much that since 2001, I've been interviewing people that wake up every day. They know what God's called them to do, and they're doing it. Was it easy? No, it wasn't for anyone.
Yeah.
But there's something about knowing that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing that really helps your life to feel significant.
Yeah. And it does not feel like work.
It doesn't
I
feel like
think-
work.
Because I think when you're doing something that is your purpose, that you are designed to do, you were put here to do, it does not feel like work.
Mhm.
And the day goes by, you're doing your thing all day long, and hours are passing.
Yep.
And you're not feeling like you're stressed out because you're in the flow. You're doing what you're meant to do, I think.
So let's talk about if you don't know what to do with that, and you're like, okay, tell me, what is my purpose? How do I know what to do? Let's talk about that, because environment is everything,
Mm-hmm.
and putting yourself in really great environments. As a coach, that's one of the biggest directives that I give people, is to put yourself in environments where people are doing what you wish you could do,
Mm-hmm.
and soak it up. You know, if you want to be fit, hang out in a gym. If you want to be reading books, hang out in a library. If you want to eat yummy, yummy food, come to Everbowl and
Hang out at
It's really
Everbowl.
good, and it's healthy, so it's good for you. But I think the social call is to activism,
Yeah.
to become the solution to a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that sound intimidating?
To become the solution to a problem. I think if you have the solution and you can help someone, then it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
Because that's a gift that you have
Mm-hmm.
that you can give to someone else. If you can solve their problem, that's a gift.
And sometimes it's not writing the next bestseller. Sometimes it's not being, a fit like award winner. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it is just helping someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is just being kind to someone. But sometimes it's going to require work, and it's going to require faith, and it's going to require stepping out of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
And you had to do that when you started your business.
I did. That was a little freaky too, because going from a corporate position that I had been in for years, I was, pretty much at the top of my game, and then deciding, I really love fitness and I love everything about it. And I want to roll with it full time. And I'd been doing it, kind of side hustle for a hot minute. So when I made that decision, like we talked about, I think on the last podcast or the one before that, it was sink or swim. It was stressful,
Mhm.
but I knew that I was doing what I was meant to be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it.
And with that, you had to invest time.
Mm-hmm.
You had to invest energy. You had to invest money. You had to get certified in things. I mean, you've come up with your own products and bands and patented pending products. And so while it may not feel like work, it's because you worked so hard to get to where you are.
Yeah. And sometimes, because you're soldiering through, right? Because that's what I tell my clients of this too. You're soldiering through and you forget how far you've come.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can get all in your head about, oh, you know, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I need to be here, I should be at this level. But you know, just take a hot minute, just a minute to reflect on all the things that got you to where you are and all the things you've accomplished to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes we forget to do that.
We do. We forget to celebrate the small victories.
Yeah.
But let's talk about things that you can do to break out of like if you're stuck and you're like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. So I've been reading a new book that's making me think differently. It's called The Connection Cure.
Connection
And
Cure.
um,
You have it with you?
yes, I don't know if
Okay.
that's
You do that, and I'm going to take a bite of this.
The Connection Cure. I'm trying to get an interview with her because this is incredible. And it's about things that matter. And instead of focusing on what's the matter, it's really focusing on what matters to you, because what matters to you may not matter to me. So you're called to do that for you. I'm called to do that for me. You know, I'm not called to do what she does. So I'm not willing to do the work. She's not going to do what I do. I mean, you know, all the things. So let's talk about some prescriptions. And one of the things she calls it is social prescriptions. I talk a lot about outside. I grew up in a mess. Outside was my safe place. What's your safe place?
Nature. Outside as well. And meditation. So, and sometimes I'll meditate outside, you know. So yeah, you need to be outside of the space that's maybe driving you crazy at that hot minute.
And there's something that happens to your creativity. You
Yeah.
no longer have walls.
Yeah.
And God steps in. For me, that's where it really works. How about art? I'm not an artist. Don't want to be an artist. Don't like crafts.
I can't draw stick figures.
Yes,
So.
don't want to do that. But some people step into an art studio and they're like, oh my gosh, I have come alive.
Yeah.
Now, they have to step into the art studio. They have to pick up the paintbrush. They have to paint. And that's very important. How about serving others? You know, finding a need within your community. I know people who go and sing in nursing homes. I know people who take pets in on foster care.
Yeah, and into the hospitals too.
And go to visit the hospitals. Those are all really, really good. So it's very important that we, hey, it's okay, come on in. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Everbowl is open, so people are coming in. But sometimes it's creating an urgent need and answering that call to switch your environment, to put yourself in a situation where you're challenged.
Yeah. And it's in areas that you can be more creative, like you were speaking about a minute ago. Yeah.
And step on your toes. You know, go where people are making you uncomfortable. I work out with her. I think I'm a workout person until I work out with her. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what? She can teach me.
But I get in the martial arts gym and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what this stuff is. Tell me what this stuff is.
Yeah.
So you get with people who can teach you something that you don't know.
Yeah.
And if I have life coaching questions, I mean, you know, that I don't know, I'm asking you.
Yeah. So the Connection Cure, you know, a guy just came through and he was talking about the health of relationships will determine the health of your life.
Yeah.
So the Connection Cure is being connected to people. But, you know, those people aren't going to come knocking on your door.
No,
you may
not.
wish that you had a new friend. You may wish that you had someone to go walk with. You may wish that you had someone to work out with. But wishing doesn't bring anyone to the door, right?
No, it does not. You have to go. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. If those are things that you want, right? How bad do you want them? There's the question. And then you've got to make it happen. You have to create that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to require action on your part. And as people of faith, you know, God doesn't just make these things happen. He may call me to go out and do some stuff, but it's, you know, sometimes he puts people in my path. Yes. But most of the time I'm following where I feel led to go because I feel led to do something that's going to require me to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So here's a question. This is a big one. Where do you belong?
Where do you belong? And what do you mean? What do
I mean, most everybody wants to belong to something, to a group, to, you know, an affiliated group of people that have synergy. They're working together. So it's a church. a gym. You know, we talked about my martial arts gym. It's a group of people. It's the same people all the time. I'm sure it's the same with you.
The same or similar goals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, we think in terms of family. We want to belong to our family, but sometimes we don't feel like we belong to our family. Sometimes you can be in the midst of surrounded by people and feel completely alone. Have you ever felt that way?
I have, yeah.
And what do you do?
Well, for me, I go back to meditation or I'm outside. There's something that's going to, bring my center back or just kind of bring me back into, my grounding, I suppose. Yeah.
So, one more question. Movement matters. You know, we got this wall here that's all about feeding your body the fuel that helps you to move. Movement does matter. Used to, when our country was early in its days, people were working the land. So people didn't sit around and do this all day. And people didn't sit around at all. There weren't TVs. And now we've become such a sedentary society. And if you give into that, your body is going to become rusty. It's going to be like the Tin Man. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
You will lose it. Yes. Yes.
And you elaborate on that a little bit because it's true.
It is true.
It's scientific. It's not just me saying it.
No, it's not. It is the use it or lose it is a real deal. And I love my dad. I talk about my dad a lot on Instagram and my stories and stuff. He's got a fabulous garden. He has a big piece of property and he sows, right? He plants that garden it's actually twice a year. So it's big. He's plowing, he's sowing, and he's growing, but he is out there tending to it. So that garden would not grow as beautifully as it does. And he's 80.
And how productive does he feel when he picks something off his own?
Feels great. Now he's told me, talking about the aches and pains. He's like, yeah, my knees kind of hurt, my wrists kind of hurt, but if I sit down, I'm gonna be like the Tin Man. It's gonna be bad when I stand up, and he said that before. So I think, if you just stop and you sit down for days and days and days, and you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. So true. When I went to an orthopedic at 50, I was having trouble with my knee, and fast forward, nothing was wrong. I was good. He said, "Are you going to keep the pace that you've got going now?" And I said, "Yep." He said, "Then something's always going to hurt, but go with it. Just keep going." I got to get water.
Go ahead.
But he told me to keep going, even though it hurts.
Yeah. And I think, when you have an injury, that's different, so we're not talking about if you've got an injury, plow through.
Excuse me.
So take time to let your body heal. But if you're, just talking about not moving at all, then that's a different ache and pain. That's the ache and pain of just being sedentary. Big difference from injury. So let's make that clear because,
Good point. I broke my ribs. I had to sit it out for 6 weeks, and that was a very important time. But,
heal.
even in times like that, I had to be productive and read more and do more things. So
yeah. And personal growth. I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm a firm believer that if you're not growing, you're not,
you're not going forward. You're going back.
You're going backwards. So personal growth, learning new things, learning new languages or reading books on personal growth or mindfulness or mindset. Things like that are really important as well,
And let me just add to that. If you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. It's pretty rapid because the world is changing so quick. And if we don't keep up, we're going to get left behind, and we can't do that. And in order to live our purpose, we've got to work hard to keep up.
Yeah.
I would get around with my mom and all her 80-something-year-old friends, and they would say, "Here, fix my phone." And I would fix their phone. But,
yeah.
So when you think in terms of purpose and when you think in terms of health and fitness, instead of saying what's the matter, what's the better question? It's what matters. What matters to you? And are you doing something with that?
What are you doing? What steps are you taking for what matters to you?
because that's what you're called to do. And purpose is a process. It's not just a quick fix something. It evolves over time. And so it's a lifelong pursuit, and it's important to pursue that. Okay, I'm signing out. Fit Friday. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.